Welcome to CEC online lecture. In continuation to my previous session on theories of selling, in this lecture, students, we would be learning about the selling process in detail. We shall be deliberating on the very first stage of the selling process, that is prospecting and qualifying. We have understood that personal selling is one of the most expensive and emphasized components of the promotion mix for any company, especially in case of those that market high-priced, technologically complex, high-involvement products to business markets. Now, unless salespeople are successful in doing their jobs as direct revenue generators, the company cannot thrive or even survive in the long run. It therefore becomes very important to explore the activities that a salesperson has to carry out in generating the prospects, confirming sales, building trust, nurturing relationships, increasing customer satisfaction, and finally augmenting customer loyalty. We do understand, students, that companies spend a lot of money to train their salespeople in the art of selling. The actual selling process, as you can see in the figure, can be linked to a chain that consists of 7 different stages. Now, each link of this process has to be closed in a successful manner. If the salesman fails to culminate any of these steps, the seller will fail to get the order. Now, we also see that these stages are interactive, overlapping in nature, and are more or less continuous. The selling process, in other words, can be viewed as a continually revolving cycle, each stage of which connects with and overlaps the adjoining stages. However, the salesman can alter the sequence and can align the entire process to meet the situation at hand. If you look at the stages, we start from the prospecting and qualifying, followed by pre-approach and approach, presentation, demonstration, objection handling, closing sale, and the last stage is the follow-up. Students, now we shall discuss about the first stage in the selling process, that is prospecting. Now, the successful salespeople, they should not waste their time in calling on people who are not the prospects. They have a limited amount of time at their disposal, and they cannot waste this time on those who either do not have any need for their product or cannot afford to buy it. Now, the planning work, which is essential in eliminating calls on no buyers, is known as prospecting. In other words, students, we can understand prospecting as the process of searching for leads, that is, people or organizations that might need your product. As was stated by Russell in the year 1978, a prospect is a person or an institution who can both benefit from buying the product and can afford to buy it. So, how can we understand a prospect? A prospect, therefore, should have 3 distinct characteristics. 1, he should have the willingness to buy. Second, he should have the financial capacity or capability to buy. And third, he should be authorized to buy. That is, he should have an authority to purchase. Now, having understood what is prospecting and who is a prospect, we should now proceed to understand why prospecting is important. As was also posited by Manning and Rees, who has done a lot of work in the area of personal selling, average company usually loses 15 to 20% of its customers every year. Now, many times these customers are lost for the reasons which are beyond the salesperson's control. Therefore, we need to look out for new customers almost on a continuous basis. Therefore, we can say that despite the cost which is being involved in the process, it is essentially looked as an future-oriented task where you need to carry out the job of prospecting on a continuous basis, because you are faced with the reality of replacing the lost business. As I said, that in some of the cases you lose out on the customers because of the factors beyond your control, like death, or there could be a sale of business or change of buyers, and therefore you constantly have to replace the lost business. There could also be a situation where the customers may switch and move out to the other territories, and therefore you have to look out for the prospects to generate the steady flow of sales. In other words, we can also understand that prospects, they are very essential for the continuous health of any selling organization. The personal selling process cannot begin without prospecting. In fact, in some of the cases, the salespeople, they follow always be prospecting kind of an approach, and therefore consciously or unconsciously they always look out for prospects. The importance of prospecting can be outlined in terms of the fact that it provides every selling organization with a promise of future business. So by connecting with a stream of prospects, students, the company can improve the chances of making sales in future. Also, prospecting creates a more favorable sales call atmosphere, as the sales representative knows that the prospect needs the product. It also provides the motivation to make the next sales call that may lead to something big, and allows the salesperson to spend the scarce time that he has in his hands to connect with only those people whose probability of buying is relatively high. Now, at this juncture, students, we also need to understand the difference between the prospect and the lead. Now, we know that a prospect is one who has money to buy, he has got a willingness to buy, and also an authority to buy. Lead, on the other hand, is the person on an organization who might possibly turn out to be a prospect. So a lead must be qualified before you consider him to be a prospect. Now, the salespeople, students, need to develop a prospecting plan. It can be rightly said that improvement in prospecting is one of the most promising approaches to stretching the productive selling time. People who are proficient in prospecting, they are able to really apply their selling efforts much more productively, and they are also in a position to devote their time and attention to those who are likely to make a purchase. Therefore, we can say that it is very important that the salespeople develop and execute a comprehensive prospecting plan which covers different stages. Now, let us discuss these stages one by one. At the first level, we need to set the objectives very clearly. The salesperson should determine the objectives for which you are undertaking prospecting as an exercise. So, establishing specific, reasonable, quantitative goals is the first step in your prospecting plan. Along with this, the sales personnel, they should have clarity of purpose for which they are carrying out this exercise. For instance, they may be doing prospecting because they want to increase their leads successfully or significantly, or they want to add new accounts in, say, next couple of months. So all in all, they should have good clarity of the purpose for which they are prospecting. At the second stage, students, you need to allocate time. You need to understand that salespeople are doing prospecting which demands hard work, initiative, lot of time, lot of resourcefulness, and also creativity. So it is very important for salespeople to understand that each and every step in the prospecting function requires proper time allocation, and therefore they should not consider this to be some sort of a casual activity. At the third stage, they need to become familiar. So this is a stage where the salespeople should familiarize themselves with various prospective methods which are available through which they can search for their prospects. Not only this, they also need to evaluate and weigh the prospects so that they can choose the best one that seem to be most suited for the industry or more suited for the products that they wish to sell. uh, you know why this is important for a salesman to familiarize themselves, because as I've stated in one of my previous sessions that all customers, they are distinct, they have a different temperament, they have a different buying motive, their needs set may be quite distinct, and therefore it is always better for the salesman to familiarize himself with these kind of prospects so that he can align his strategy in accordance with their needs and with their temperaments. As the fourth step in your prospecting plan, you should choose the prospecting technique. So what happens, students, in this stage, the various techniques that are available, or the various methods of prospecting, they should be analyzed and they should be tested to determine their appropriateness for use. Over a time period, it may so happen that sales person may like to drop some of the older techniques which fail to work in the current times, or probably would like to replace them with some new and the modified strategies or new or modified approaches. In the next stage, they need to systematize everything. So there has to be a systematic way of working. Now, what do I mean by this, students? A systematic approach to prospecting plan actually requires that the prospecting records are properly maintained. They are always kept up to date. Accurate and detailed information about each prospect, like his name, the contact details, the type of business, the products that he would probably need, all these details should be available with the salesman. And not only the detailed information should be available, it should also be classified in a proper manner. Now, such systematization of records help you in prioritizing the prospects at a later stage. So you can always refer and you can always see that these are the prospects who have a high probability of giving me repeat business, and therefore these are the ones on whom I should concentrate my efforts as a sales representative. So if you classify them properly and keep this information handy with you as a salesman, this is going to make your subsequent prospecting task very simple. In the last stage of your prospecting plan, a salesperson should analyze the need to evaluate the prospecting performance against the objectives that were outlined in the first stage. So in case the comparison of the outcomes with the predetermined goals reveal that the results are falling short of the objectives, or like you were not in a position to successfully achieve your goals, then the salesperson can make the efforts to identify the shortcomings, and then these shortcomings can be addressed by them in future. If you recall, students, I had deliberated on this aspect, saying that if you fail to procure an order, that doesn't mean that you should lose all hope. Even the evaluation stage gives you very useful insights, and you can work on those shortcomings and limitations to improvise on your strategies at a later stage, the strategies which would bring you successful results. Similarly, suppose if there is a positive performance in terms of exceeding the expectations of the customers, that would help you in taking a realistic stock of the situation at hand. So in both the situations, whether you are able to procure an order or you are not in a position to achieve it, these kind of evaluative exercises or this kind of an evaluative function helps the sales representatives in not only setting the goals for them for the future time period, but also help them in determining the most appropriate prospecting techniques and the strategies that probably they can adopt in future. Now, once you have done this task, as I said, the leads, these are the leads, and the leads have to be qualified well in advance. So now the next step is that you qualify the prospects and try to ascertain their probable requirements. Now, when more and more information is assembled on each tentative prospect, it becomes easier to make estimates on the probable requirements of each for the type of products sold by the company. So prospects with requirements that are very small to represent the profitable business, they can be then removed from your consideration set. Unless your growth possibilities show that yes, there is a promise while you entertain them. Now, for requiring additional information to qualify the prospects, in some of the cases, the sales people can also make the personal visits. At the same time, students, it is also important for us to understand that the final step in having a overall planning strategy to use in approaching the prospect, one needs to relate the company products to the prospect's requirements. So from the information that you have assembled about the prospect so far, it is usually possible to determine the probable needs that the prospect would be having. So from whatever you know as a salesperson about the company's product or the users and the applications of the products that you have, you should choose those products that seem to be most appropriate for a particular prospect. And therefore in this way you would be aligning your products or the company's products with the needs of the prospects. Sometimes the companies let the employees other than the salespeople do this kind of prospecting because they feel that they should be able to generate, or they would be able to generate better insights. All in all, the next step or the next stage which goes hand in hand with prospecting is qualifying. Now, we have understood that salesperson would always want to reduce the time, and they would not like to waste the precious time that they have in dealing with the individuals who do not qualify as prospect. Now, the lead would become a prospect only when the potential buyers meet some of the qualifying criteria. Now, what are these qualifying criteria and how can we understand them? We can, students, understand them as an acronym, and that acronym is NAME, N-A-M-E. Now, how can we understand them? N stands for need or want, A stands for authority, M stands for money, and E stands for eligibility. Now, we would discuss each of these in greater detail. Now, when I talk about the need or the want, obviously for the sales representative, there is no point in wasting time and effort in trying to sell the products and services to people who do not need them in the first place. So it is very important to quickly determine the leads that have a genuine need or want for the product. In some cases, this need may be unrecognized by the customer himself. Now, this again, students, give us an opportunity to the salesperson to explain and demonstrate the product's benefit to the customer and actually provide him the information through which the prospect can ascertain as to how this product and the use of the product, the consumption of the product can be beneficial to him in solving his or her problem or solving his or her need. The second letter in the acronym stands for A. This is A, which is authority to buy. Now, salespeople often end up spending a lot of time with people who lack the authority to buy. They are not authorized to purchase. For instance, the salespeople may try to sell a product to the purchasing agent and not to the machine operator or not to the supervisor who actually possesses the authority to purchase. In some organizations, we also find that there is no single manager who is authorized to make any of the purchase decisions, and therefore the salesperson needs to persuasively interact with what you can understand as the buying center. So you need to understand that in some of the situations, there are probably many people in the buying center. There are many members involved, and therefore you should be connecting with the right person who has gotten authority to be making the purchase. The third letter stands for money. M stands for money to buy. As I've stated earlier also, that this is the third essential criterion of qualifying, that the prospects must have the money or the ability or the credit to buy before they can be qualified. Now, sales to buyers who cannot pay not only is not going to result into anything, but is, especially detrimental to a service organization. What happens in a case of service organization? You provide the benefit, and once the benefit of the service is passed on to the prospect or to the potential buyer, you cannot repossess it, because services performed cannot be repossessed, and therefore it becomes very important for a salesperson to understand and to ensure that the person that you are dealing with has got this kind of an ability, he has got the financial resources at his disposal to buy the products. The fourth essential qualification, or the fourth criteria through which the salespeople can qualify the prospect, is the eligibility to buy. Now, the salespersons, they should ensure that people buying products and services, they are eligible to do so. They should not be bypassing any channel member in buying and selling process, and cannot undermine the effectiveness of the entire marketing channel. If you do not have the eligibility and you're not superseding out of your turn, that could also lead into various kind of conflicts with the manufacturers or among the wholesalers and the retailers. So it is very important for the salesperson to also ascertain that a prospect belongs to his territory. Stealing an account or accidentally bumping into any other associate's territory would only create ill will, and would also result into poor morale among the sales force members, and obviously no salesman would like to do that. So students, we have understood this very clearly, that there are certain people who possess characteristics as having willingness, having a need set, they have money to buy, and they are eligible to make a purchase, they have got an authority to do so, and therefore once you have qualified the leads as the prospects, now you can deal with them sticking to the prospecting plan. And once you carry out this particular exercise, in the subsequent sales cycles, you as a salesperson would be required to put in less efforts. Now, the important question that one needs to analyze is how to look for these kind of prospects, where to look for these kind of prospects. Now, although there may be many approaches to generating the leads through the function of prospecting, most professional salesperson, they have their favorite methods, and they usually like to adapt each to their own individual styles. For instance, some sales people may use the existing records, or probably they may connect with opinion leaders, or they may simply use internet, or they rely on seminars and conferences to get certain leads and to get in touch with the prospective people or the customers who would be interested in their product. The choice of which particular prospecting method you would be using, which kind of technique you would be using, it would also vary for certain products. They also keep on varying from market to market, whether you are dealing with B2B market or you are dealing with B2C market. It would also vary according to the time and the location, and so on and so forth. So all in all, the sales people need to adopt a skillful approach. They have to be really adept at selecting the best prospecting technique for a given selling situation. We also understand, students, that no system is a guarantee. We have also discussed this in one of the previous sessions, where we deliberated on the fact that each situation is very distinct for the sales representative, solely because of the fact that you always deal with a different consumer who remains largely unpredictable. So all you can do is you can just keep on trying and keep on learning from your experiences as a salesperson. There is no guarantee of coming up with a successful prospecting approach. You need to follow it intelligently, diligently, and also in a consistent manner, so that that kind of prospecting approach that you have been adopting so far, this actually gives you good learning and becomes an integral part of the salesperson's work schedule. Also, this is more or less a continuous exercise. This is not a one-time exercise, nor this should be viewed as an isolated exercise. All the subsequent stages of the selling process, be it the approach or the presentation or the demonstration or the objection handling, they all depend to a very large extent as to who is the person you are going to deal with, who is actually the prospect. So if the sales people, they devote a lot of their time and effort in choosing their prospects carefully, they would be easing out the subsequent stages of the selling process. So they have to understand that there is always a search for, say, better prospects, more number of prospects in future. And in the entire process, students, the sales people, at times they can also connect with a person or a prospect whom they can term as the best customer ever. Now, unless and until you reach to that particular level where you say that, okay, this is, now I have reached the stage where he is my best customer, he understands me, I understand his needs and requirements, and he's the one who would feel satisfied at the end of the entire selling process. He's going to give me an order and he would also feel satisfied. I would be, as a salesman, would be in a position to come up with a win-win selling situation for both the buyer as well as for the company and the sales representative. Now you have to, in order to reach that situation, you have to continuously work towards this prospecting exercise. So at the end of the entire session, students, I'm sure you would have understood who is a prospect, what is prospecting, why prospecting is important, and why the companies and the sales representatives really need to invest in prospecting as a very important function or very important stage in the selling process. In the subsequent session, students, we would learn about the various sources through which the sales representatives can generate the leads or can look out for prospects. Thank you, students, for your patient hearing. Stay safe and stay protected.